the first time I remember seeing it is around when I was like 14 years old till I was about maybe 17. And during that time, had real bad depression. I was going to see a therapist. My family, my dad had a gambling addiction. We lost our home. We were homeless. Like all this bad stuff was happening. And I remember seeing these, shadow figures, and I just thought, oh, it's just nothing. And then one day I remember seeing it so clearly. I saw it down at the end of the hall, walk from one room to the other. And I thought it was my little brother trying to scare me, like jump out at me, because that's what he liked to do when he was younger. And I was like, Tony, I am not playing. Like, and at this point, there's nobody in the house, because I think it was like 4th of July or something, so everyone was outside watching fireworks. So I went down the hall, and I was like, you need to quit messing around. And so I looked in the room, nothing was there. And then I went outside, and I was like, who's just in the house? And they're like, nobody. And so I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just, it's whatever. And then I remember going outside, because this is when we lived in New Mexico. And I remember going outside our door, and we had this neighbor who was kind of like hippy-dippy, and she claimed that she was psychic, and heart of gold, loved this lady. And I was just like, okay, yeah, that's whatever. And so I remember going outside, and before I could say anything, like, hi, how you doing? She turns to me and she goes, it's okay. And I said, before I could ask her, like, what are you talking about? She's like, it's okay, I know you see them. She's like, you'll be fine. And I was just like, she's like, you can handle it. And I was just like, okay, bye. Like, I didn't even want to talk to her about it. And then from that point on, I kind of just, because I started reading more about it, and I didn't like what I was reading. So
really, what were you reading?
Some people, like the things that I read, because I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
So it's demons and stuff, very real to me.
Okay.
And so I heard that a lot of times they're not human.
True.
And I don't like that. Like if it's not.
So as a demonologist, hearing your story and your father, what he was doing, my immediate mind went to, there's a chance that wasn't a human that you were looking at.
Yeah.
So they kind of gravitate, negative beings will gravitate to negative activity and, kind of spawn it, and it's kind of a perfect storm and keep it going.
Because during that time, because there was one year in particular, and I remember this very vividly, I had a nightmare every single day for a whole entire year. It didn't matter, like sometimes the nightmares would be super long, like a whole dream, or they might be little snippets, and then how dreams kind of segue into other things. But for a whole year, I would have nightmares, and then even till this day, sometimes the one thing that has not gone away is sometimes I'll get sleep paralysis.
Really?
Yeah, and then I've got to the point where I lucid dream a little bit.
Okay.
Because of the sleep paralysis.
So you open your eyes, you're alert, you feel the pressure on your chest pushing you into bed.
Yeah, and for that part, so during that time when I was having nightmares, there was one time in particular where I woke up and it just felt like something was just sitting on me. It was the heaviest pressure I've ever felt. And so I just chalked it up to my anxiety, like just that kind of thing. But it just, and other times I've had it, but never as bad as that one particular time. And then...
Did you ever see anything during your sleep paralysis? I mean, did you see anything in the room with you, or?
No, but the most recent time I had sleep paralysis was actually, it was this year, and we had just moved into our rental home where someone had told us our house was broken into, which is where I believe this kind of came into play.
Sure.
So when I woke up, which as I was waking up, I knew I wasn't awake. I remember seeing, because the room, it looked exactly like how the room should, but I knew I wasn't awake because I could see like little speckles in the air, like fireflies, but without the blinking. And it was just kind of all over. So I knew in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm awake, but I'm not really awake. Like, this is not how, I know I'm not awake, if that makes sense. And then I hear what sounds like a burglar trying to break into I almost see the flashlights shining under the door. And I'm trying so hard, like my fiance's next to me, And I remember just being able just to slightly move my finger, like trying to tap him awake. And I feel like I did actually tap my finger. Whether I really did, I don't know. But, you know, in that time. And then as soon as they, like, busted through the door, that's kind of like
When you came to.
when I came to. And I still, you know, I couldn't move for a good minute or two. It feels like forever, but...
So I just got a call. I'm going to share back at somebody else's story, and it's so similar to your story. And I'll let you know what decision we made as an organization. I got a call from a gentleman up in New York, up in New York State actually, and he was out at he was staying in a cabin with a group of individuals. They were at a Bigfoot symposium. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I want to believe.
Right.
But, so he was at a Bigfoot symposium, and he was actually in a cabin with his wife was there, but he felt something pushing him, holding him down into bed on his chest. But the difference is he saw a goat-headed figure, meaning
Like
it was a ram. It was a humanoid shape with arms and hands, with a ram's head, right? The horns, two horns that went back like this, and he was this entity. We'll just say was holding his face right up his mouth, right up to his mouth, and he whispered, "I have you now," and started to inhale.
What? Oh no. No.
Started to inhale. He,
No.
in his mind, screamed, "God help me!"
Yeah.
Right? And so the entity stopped, physically stepped over him, onto the bed in between him and his wife. The bed sunk. His wife rolled, and he stepped over his wife into the closet, disappeared, and the wife woke from the motion.
Oh wow. So she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A priest is on their way.